All right, gang, here's Apple Valley's kill list for March 18. They've already killed, God, I want to say something like 45, 50 dogs. They've gone out of their way to just slaughter puppies. Let's take a look who's here. Ruger, Mama and 8 puppies. Mama Sunny and 5 puppies. Diamond, Aiden, Brooke, Mama Blizzard, 5 puppies. Mama Brownie and 8 puppies. They're going to be killing a lot of mamas and puppies today. Charlotte, Olivia, Guinness, Caleb, Isabella, Natalie, Philip, Felicia, Brady, Blarney, Joe, Tootie, Blair, Cindy, Dorothy. Yeah, that's a lot. And they won't hesitate to kill them all. Let's see what they say in their notes here. Well, if they haven't killed off these remaining dogs from the hoarding case, they will be very busy shortly. These pictures were never given to us by the shelter. We don't know how the person had them, got them, but we are nonetheless grateful. We wish the shelter would make these dogs public, but why would they want to publicize how they drag these mamas into the shelter with catch poles? Just chicken shit, people. We are disgusted beyond it. The other hoarding dogs were dragged in, some while they were pregnant. Mia had been pregnant when she was forced into her kennel but gave birth at the shelter, and the puppies died. Then they killed her. These are really sick people, gang. These are really, really sick, dehumanizing, de-animalizing. They're just flat out evil people. You know, I call them the Adolf Hitler perverts because that's what they are. They're just a bunch of sick perverts. Mama and 5 nursing puppies. Mama Sunny. Here's pending euthanasia. Ruger. Oh, he's got a prolapsed rectum. So, how do you fix that? Obviously, got to get the dog so his bowels are completely empty, and he's a little dehydrated, and then you have to go in on the sides of the intestine and basically staple it to the muscle or tissue on the inside and hold it in place and hope that it will shrink in size and heal. So a dog like this that has a history of this really needs to be on some sort of more of a fiber soft diet. But as a puppy grows older, if it's repaired properly, you'll never see it again unless they're eating non-fiber diets. This kind of stuff happens in humans too. Really horrible, really, really horrible to look at. But he deserves a life too. And here's another group of puppies that they will slaughter. Here's another group of 3. I just read that Oliver and Bailey got out alive. So that's wonderful news, especially, you know, like I say, you always pick a favorite because there's so many of them. But you see little Oliver, he's just a beautiful dog. So with Bailey. They're all wonderful dogs, but you're always going to have a favorite, even if you try not to. Here's George. Here's Jenny. Could be some husky in the background just by the colors. Here's another Stacy the husky. Sutton, what a beautiful dog. There was just a group of puppies that looked just like Sutton. They just executed. And here's another group of puppies. What do we got here? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 puppies. Yeah, you can't understand the mindset that just finds it okay to kill. You know, if I was in that position, I'd just be pouring all my energy into communicating, YouTubing, posting, whatever it took to get them out alive. Because there's homes for them. They just don't work hard enough. Here's Clover. A beautiful little guy. I wish these photos were better. And then here's a slaughter day. They just went out of their way. Like I said, they make $100 plus per dog. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. Yeah, well past $2,000 they lost because they killed all these animals, especially all these beautiful puppies. You know, people don't give a shit. People don't give a shit to not help. People don't give a shit that work there. And beautiful pumpkin. He had a rescue. He had a foster. They killed him anyway. And here's another day they just went out of their way to just kill as many as they could. Just don't give a shit. The mayor of that town, he doesn't give a shit either. Collects his fat paychecks and just fuck anybody who gets in his way. That's how it is. Everything should be privatized. Everything. The cops, the fire departments, everything should be privatized. Cities should be privatized. You know, people just vote for these idiots because they don't know how bad they are. Look at that. Just a sheer volume of killed beautiful dogs and puppies. Mamas, pregnant mamas, mamas in front of their puppies slaughtered. I've been told that they slaughter the puppies in front of the mamas. They just flat out don't give a shit. Another page, a full page of kills. What a beautiful dog Jeff was. All of them are beautiful. All of them would have been easily adopted with some work. And they don't want to give rescues a break in taking the dogs. Any other shelter across the United States is not going to charge a reputable rescue to come and pick up the dogs and cats. They are thankful that those animals are leaving alive into a reputable rescue's hands. But this place, they just want money. You know, they pay the manager well over $300,000 a year. They pay kill techs, and I suspect there's probably at least 5 to 10 of them, $160,000 a year. That is absolutely out of this world. Most shelters pay their managers probably $25,000-$30,000 a year, if that, and most of their techs probably $14-$15 an hour, because the shelters don't get money. But these people, they milk the city. They milk the taxpayers. They prostate milk them. But they're, yeah. Grayson. Here's Darcy. Here's rescue only. I think that is a corneal ulcer. It might be salvageable. It might not. Yeah, that's why you always have to keep a puppy's cage immaculate. Just get in there and scrub it. Make it immaculate. Dishwasher, dish soap, little bleach, immaculate. Everything that a puppy touches has to be immaculate. Wash them with baby shampoo, fresh towels, everything clean. Here's Lurland or Ireland. Here's 5 more beautiful little puppies. They'd love to have a home. They'd love to get the hell out of this horrible place. Here's Foxy. Looks like a beagle mix of some sort. Here's Layla. Black Shadow. Beautiful. Owner turn-in. Owner dump is what it's called. These are just executed. They go straight to the front of the line for killing. And another day they just went out of their way to kill as many as they could. Very, very sad. But I'm so thankful little Jamie and those 2 black ones got out, you know. That's wonderful news. And poor Pumpkin had been through hell and they killed him anyway. The callousness, the indifference of this place is legendary. You know, if Hitler was alive today, he would be recruiting these people. Here's Hank. Here's Max, Helga, Alec. You know what gets me? That somebody owned this dog and they went to the trouble to mutilate his ears because they're psychopaths, but yet they couldn't provide him a home. And I've read stories of these psychopaths that will cut their ears with a pair of scissors. Just, there is no need to dock tails and mutilate ears, period. You know, maybe a dew claw or something like that, which can cause problems, but otherwise, no. Here's Alec. Here's Yvonne. Albino dog. Here's Leprechaun. These photos are terrible. Look at that catch pole. Whoever's using that catch pole is a fucking coward. Here's Urgent Shamrock. Here's Darby. Blue. Zeus. Blarney. Guinness. Charms. Lucky. Rescued Mashal. That's fantastic. It's a Pyrenees dog. That's wonderful. The Pyrenees community is really strong. They really fight to save their dogs. Here's Rescued Missy. Sugar dumped with Lucy. Here's Lucy. Happy dog. Had a home. Got dumped. Selena. Banner. Bruce. Rory. Rescued. Little pumpkin face. Humvee. Rescued. That's fantastic. There's a lot of these kind of beautiful dogs that show up here that look like this. I'm not sure what they are. It's almost like a pit bull mix and a bulldog mix, but I just do not know. Some of these traits could be like a pit bull or a bulldog, and the trait was from the great-grandfather. So, and it's so you never know. Killed without warning, and her puppies killed. Mavie. The psychopaths are just killing anything they can kill. Here's Brooke. Rescued Patty. Rescued Oliver. Killed Evelyn. Rescued by a dog named Blackjack Animal Rescue Recovery Incorporated. So you could look them up and send them $5 or $100, whatever. They'd sure appreciate it. Hudson. That is a regal looking dog. Very noble looking dog. Here's Urgent Dublin. We're going past 13 minutes. Wow. Okay. Here's these beautiful puppies, all killed. I guess we ought to just end there. Look at that. Beautiful little puppies. They would have loved to have had a home with you. All executed. Just like how Hitler had the death camps just annihilate families. No different. Michael. Bellamy. Dexter. Saint. Eden. Rescued by Paws for Big Hearts Rescue. Grim. That's great. Rescued by a dog named Blackjack Animal Rescue Recovery Incorporated. That's great. Killed Gustav. All right, gang. I'm going to cut it loose there. That's just too many. Too many. Here's the real page. Remember, there's a fake page. There's a real page. Unbelievable. Just a sheer volume. You know, instead of taking the work ethic, they take the easy way out. Just kill. They pay something like $6,000 a month to haul off the dead. And they don't give a shit. They flat out don't give a shit. And this community doesn't give a shit. That's sad. Really, really sad. I just keep posting them and hoping somebody will take an interest and adopt one dog. Tell your friends, and maybe we'll save a couple. They're worth it. You know, I wish I could... nobody's going to watch my videos if I make them like an hour. But, I mean, here's Stanislaw. This is Modesto. This guy, his name is Angus, he needs out today. Here's another picture, Angus. Here's Riverside. Needs out today, Ridley. Here's Palmdale. Palmdale and Lancaster. There is the page. These people just fight tooth and nail to save dogs. Here is Lancaster. They've always got that green background. All right, gang. And then we're looking at San Bernardino. They make these wonderful collages with lots of information on Chandler. And Moreno Valley, another really overlooked shelter. And I believe this shelter does work to try to save dogs. And whatever, you can't. You know, at least they're working to save them, you know. Some of these shelters like SBC, San Bernardino, Chandler, these guys have 400 dogs on the property. It's just unbelievable. People just don't give a shit. They just don't give a shit. And then here's Roswell. These guys are to be killed today. Roswell, New Mexico. They make their pictures too big to load on whatever it is, Instagram. Beautiful dogs. They just give them like 10 days, 5 days, 15 days, then they just kill them. All right, gang. Help out if you can. I'm sure appreciate it.